Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, good night, wherever you are. This is Margaret. Margaret is back with a new video. And today's video is I'm going to continue with the last video that I made. And this is pertaining to the last video about St. Mary. Yes, folks. So the St. Mary video that I did last week, it was just about Port Maria in St. Mary. But remember, folks, that I had mentioned that I was up with my grandfather in Albion Mountain. So today's video is pertaining to Albion Mountain. Yes, folks. So the topic today for this video pertaining to Albion Mountain is that there was drama. Drama in Albion Mountain. Now, how this drama got started, people, is that while I was living up there with my grandfather in what do you call that place now? Albion Mountain, there was also a cousin of mine staying there with him. His wife, my grandfather and his wife, had temporary parent caring for this young child, maybe 9 or 10, but she was younger than myself. So she was there because her mother was gone to England and she had left her daughter with her father in Orokabesa. But somehow, I don't know, I believe that the grandfather got sick and my grandfather had to go down to Orokabesa and took the girl up to Albion Mountain to take care of her while her mom was in England. So that's how that got started. So she was there for a while, and this was just this day now. I'm not sure if it was a midweek or a Sunday. I believe it was a midweek that my grandfather had sent us, myself and her, up to a yard about 10 minutes away to buy ice. And now, down in Jamaica, there was always a big ice truck that delivered ice to different homes. They would buy this large block of ice, and they would bury it into a box under some sawdust to keep it from melting. Yes, so this lady now, she bought that big block of ice, and she kept it at her house, and people would go and buy a piece of ice. So that's what happened. So my grandfather sent my cousin and I up to this lady as usual. Not the first time we went there to buy ice. And the lady had 2 dogs living in the yard. One small white dog, and I believe it was a brown one also. The brown one was bigger, but the white one was smaller. And those 2 dogs, they were accustomed to her because I was the newest one there and I'd gone with her a couple of times before and no problem. But this day, I don't know what got into the little white dog. She came around, I don't forget, she came around and she sniffed on me and she sniffed on my cousin. And the next thing we know, she came around again and she just jumped up and bit my cousin on her calf. Took off a big piece from her calf. We were so frightened. Even the lady in the house was so frightened because this little dog never did anything like that. And she don't even bark. She very quiet little dog. And we were all so frightened. And my poor cousin was so frightened. She started to scream and bawl and a whole lot of noise was going on in that yard. The other big dog started to bark and the little one ran away and was barking too as if it knew what it did. So the lady got a piece of bandage and she bandaged up that foot. And both of us went back home. And my grandfather was so frightened. He said, "What happened? What happened?" So I told him, my poor cousin was still bawling because that hurt. Those dogs teeth are very sharp, and he sink it down and really got a good bite from her. And she didn't even speak. She kept bawling and bawling and bawling. So my grandfather had to get transportation and took her down to the hospital. Not very far, maybe a 30-minute ride from Albion Mountain to down in Port Maria there at the west end side of Port Maria. So it's closer to where we were living. And he took her, the transportation took her to the hospital. And they admitted her. And I think they gave her quite a few stitches. They kept her, I think they kept her at the hospital for quite a few days because it was really hurting. So they were watching to see how this thing progressed. So she was there for about 6 or 7 days, and they stitched it up. Can't remember how many stitches she got, but she got some stitches, and she was there for about 7 days until they released her and she came back home. But she didn't stay long. She came back home, and her mom, I guess she speed up the papers, and she was gone to England. I think she left. She left before I left. Before I left Albion Mountain, I think she was out of there. She was out of there because I guess her mother was so upset about her little girl got bitten by dogs. And my grandfather was so upset about it. He didn't speak at all. He didn't speak about it. He was really upset that the little girl got bitten by a dog. So that was the big drama in Albion Mountain. And soon after that, I left and I went back down to my hometown. And, we never heard one word from that girl, my cousin. She went off to England because I inquired with my grandfather what happened, and they said yes, she's in England with her mom. But we never heard a word. Never heard a word from her after she went to England. Not a word. So every time, sometimes I go on the Facebook and I'm looking to see if maybe I see her. A short Indian. She was, looks like from the Harawak Indian tribe. It must be her father was an Indian, but she was really golden brown, tall hair, long hair down to her waist. Beautiful little girl. Yes, so we never heard anything from her again from that time when she left Jamaica to go to her mom in England. So that is the story of the drama in Albion Mountain. Yes, folks, so that's what happened up there. Big drama took place. And that's all I have to say to you today. That be careful with dogs. Don't trust those dogs that don't bark. Because the ones that don't bark are likely be the ones to bite you. When the dog is barking, you know that, something may be wrong, or they don't like you, or they don't want you to come near, and you'll know to stay far. But the little ones that don't bark and pretend to be friendly, they are the ones that will likely bite you. So from that time until now, folks, I don't like dogs. I don't care how smart they are. I don't care how quiet they are. As long as they have teeth. As long as they have teeth, I'm not going near them. Many times I go to places and people are saying, "Oh, he's not gonna trouble you. He's not. Come on." I don't trust them, and the owners don't know from one moment to the other what these dogs are gonna do because these dogs are unpredictable. I've heard of so many stories where dogs turn around and attack their masters for no reason, you know, because dogs sometimes probably are like humans. They are sick and you don't know what's wrong with them. And they become cross and they become out of their minds and they do some crazy things. They will even take babies and do all kind of stuff. Take them and go. I was reading a story one time where this dog looks like it got jealous And the mom came home from the hospital, and her friends were coming over to admire this newborn baby, and they were carrying on downstairs, commotion and happy, happy, happy. And the dog that they had in the family for so many years, the dog take her time and he or she went upstairs. People, the dog went upstairs into the baby's room and took the baby out of the crib and took the baby under a tree nearby the house and lay her down there. Lay the baby down under the tree in the backyard or somewhere nearby and take his time and come back in the house as if it hadn't done anything. So when the commotion finished downstairs and the celebration and they went upstairs, they didn't hear. The mother thought, well, that baby should be awake by now. We don't hear any sound. What's happening? When she went upstairs to look into the crib, no baby. No baby. They searched all over her body, decided to look around until finally somebody searched far enough and found the baby under a tree way out in the backyard. Not say backyard, but somewhere because it's a big place. So somewhere under a tree around the surroundings of the house, they found the baby. The dog took the baby and put the baby there because I guess it was jealous that they were paying so much attention to the baby and he was left out. She was left out. So sometimes they're very smart and they know what they're doing. Now, with this little white dog that bit my cousin, I don't know what was going on in that little dog's mind. You know? I don't know what took place that day. Yes, but that's what it did. It bit my cousin, and we didn't expect it. It was unpredictable. So, folks, that's how it goes. You cannot trust these animals because they do some weird things that nobody's expecting them to do. So, I hope this video will make you be aware of things that happen with these dogs and not to trust them because if they have teeth, they will bite. And some of them are very smart. They behave just like how some humans will behave. Very jealous of their masters. I see dogs and people sitting down around, and sometimes if you say hello to the people, the dog start to bark because the dog doesn't know you. They don't want you to say anything to their masters. They can be very jealous. So I don't even say hello to people that I know as long as the dog is sitting there. Yep, I learned my lesson. Have a wonderful day, folks. Stay blessed, and I'll be back with another video. Gotta know how to do this.